Yeah, that's right. Collin Fingaz from the DMV. Mr. Fingaz. This week in UGA football. Get ready, baby. Let's go.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are you doing? How are you doing? All of you out there in the internet world, all of you in the front seats, appreciate y'all dropping through. Those of you up in the cheap seats, I keep telling you, get your tickets early. You can buy them on Pay with 4 now. Or you can do Pay with 4 now. You pay for them in 4 easy, cheap payments. It is you guys coming to you. Okay, hit the button. Zip, 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 zip. It's you guys coming to you live. I am Mr. Fingaz coming to you from the 405 from Zagnib Central with a win. Comes whipping down the plane, Mr. Fingaz, and that guy right there. That fella sitting over there to my left, he is the brother from another, the sexy mother hubba, the ace of base in the place, in your face. I am very happy to be here. I'm going to use that on this show now since somebody keeps stealing it on the other one that I'm on. That is Collin P for the DMV. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. Had a great weekend. Well, scary weekend. Got a little nervous there, but nah, we good. As long as we walk away with a dub, okay, dub is a dub,
Look, we were sitting up in there. Me and you were sitting there watching the TV like that clip. I like to play a funny man. Man, ain't nobody worried about no Kentucky. We were sweating pretty hard. But welcome to this week's edition of This Week in UGA Football, the show where we come on and we talk all things dogs, and we'll wrap up some things around the SEC. Talk about this week's game, this past weekend's game against Kentucky. And then we'll talk about the upcoming games against Bama. And then we'll talk about how things went around the SEC. We'll get right into that. Matter of fact, we just going to go ahead and jump right on into it. There's no need in finagling this thing. The Dogs struggled, bruh. They struggled. Yeah. This was definitely qualified as a struggle win. I want to go ahead and before we even get into it, send shouts out to looks like our number one fan right here, Mr. Nathan Snell. He's on all the time, anytime. Right there. That's one of our family members in the Let's Talk Football family of shows. Not in Let's Talk Football, but Let's Talk Football adjacent, as we like to call him. Also, we want to go ahead and we got a special guest today. I did tease that in the description of the show. We got a very special guest joining us today. All I have to do to describe this gentleman is 2 words: the race. Ladies and gentlemen, coming on the set, let me rephrase that. Coming to the set right now, we're having him join us. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Mr. Sean Spencer.
What? How we doing today?
That will never not be funny, man. That will never not be.
Better now that the game is over, bro. That's all I got to say.
Hey, at least your team scored a touchdown. My football team, my NFL team did not.
Hey, your NFL team still won, and much like our team, the point differential was what, 1 point?
Yeah.
Hey, look, a W is a W. We'll take it because it could have gone the other way. So it could have gone the other way.
We still haven't had a turnover. Still haven't had allowed a touchdown yet. So.
Yeah, but we almost didn't allow ourselves to score a touchdown either. Why you joking?
Very true.
I mean, Branson
Coulda, woulda,
Robinson.
shoulda, but didn't.
Yeah, Branson Robinson came through. Look, the funniest and saddest thing as a Georgia fan that I saw about this game was somebody made a comment that oh no, it was in one of those content creators that we like to follow. Shouts out to SEC Shorts, by the way, that said, oh yeah, so you just followed along with your strategy of allowing Coach Stoops to coach himself out of the game. Not we won the game. We just let Coach Mark Stoops coach himself out of the game. So yeah, struggle win, man, struggle win. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna go ahead and start with you, Collin. What did you see on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we there's a lot of factors I think played into it. Number one, I mean, I think, I mean, to your point, I think we may have. I mean, I would like to. I think we kind of looked past them to some certain degree, but you know, you have Vandergrift in there, which is, you know, he played with the Dogs. You know, he just transferred, so he would have some knowledge of, you know, I don't know how much. I mean, we probably changed some of the schemes up a little bit, but he knows the players, he knows our defense, you know, knows the players and stuff. But who knows? I mean, that may have played in a factor, but yeah, it was just a run game. You know, wasn't working like it normally does, and you know, they were getting to the corners, and we, on the other hand, could not get to the corners. I mean, they were running all through us. I mean, what did that boy had? He had 146 yards, I think. What do we have? Like 200 total yards. I think he had 146. I think we had 100 yards like rushing, I think, as well. But yeah, that's all I can think of. I mean, like we did have Ratliff was out. You know, he had a sprained MCL. But I mean, he's a big part of our defense. So, but yeah, I had to rewatch the game. Or I had to actually watch the game later because, as I told you guys, I laid on the couch getting ready for the game, and next thing I know, I fall asleep and I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I missed the whole game. So I had to go back and watch it.
Hey, look, you can't believe.
I didn't watch it. So.
Hey man, ain't nobody's fault but your own. You was walking in Memphis. I'm sorry, walking in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It was a nice night, breeze and everything. I had the screen door open and everything, so I could just walk in and sat on the couch with him. I don't know. Never known the difference.
You ain't see me. I was over there. I came in and watched the game and then left. You
came in and came out. Hey, nothing was missing, thank goodness.
Hey, Daryl said he came in and sat down and watched the Bama game while you were sleeping, and then changed it back to the Georgia game.
Hey man, I've been trying to watch a game with Daryl forever. He will not watch a game outside of his house.
Shouts out to our buddy. Shouts out to our buddy Daryl. One of the biggest and most pessimistic Alabama fans I have ever met in my life. He won't even say roll tide. That's how much of a he's like he loves Bama, and he will talk you. He's this guy that can call stats back up from like 1980 or whatever. But he's like, man, if we don't get our act together, every year they win the championships, man. If we don't get our act together, we're not even gonna get in the CFP. He's almost like Schlepper. Hi, everybody. But
not to get off the beaten path here, but remember when Tua broke his hip or injured his hip that time? I can't remember who they were playing. But here comes Dale around the corner. I knew it. I said it before. He don't need to be. He started going off on Tua. I was like, bro.
Look. Yeah. Speaking of Tua, he might need to go ahead and tell Tua he need to hang it up.
Yeah. I mean,
most definitely.
He's been saying I'm Batman too many times. So
yeah. Realistically speaking, though, their defense had an answer for everything that we put on everything we threw at them, everything we put on the field. They had an answer for. Zion Childress was I don't know how many times I heard his name called during that game, but he definitely stayed in the backfield. I mean, he's every other play he's in the backfield before the play developed. I mean, they made him look like an All-American. If this was his last season, off of that alone, you know how your boy Jadeveon Clowney got drafted off of that one highlight. I mean, because it was like the number one highlight. I mean, let's not.
He was a monster. Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
He was a monster. But that was his big highlight for the season. You know what I mean? So this was that was his moment right there. Like,
let me throw a stat out. So let me throw a stat out real quick. So in Kentucky, I mean, we always say that, you know, we play Kentucky. I mean, like, we always have a hard time in Kentucky. This is the last 5 times we played Kentucky. This is including Monken, right? So this last game was 13-12. Last year was 16-6. The year before that was 14-3. The year after that, or year before that was 34-17, and then 27-24. So I mean, they've always been pretty close games, tight games. So back and forth.
but then that begs the question: why can't the Dogs win in Kentucky? Sean, I'm giving a whole lot of thought about switching over to StreamYard. No offense to the platform I use, but because on your platform, when we put the banners up on the screen, is the faces get smaller so you don't get covered. There you go. So that answers the question: why can't the Dogs win in Kentucky? You touched on the talking point that I wanted to get to tonight. As you mentioned, we played in the last 3 years. The last 3 times that we played Kentucky in Lexington, including this past Saturday, we beat Kentucky by a 43-25 differential, with the largest margin of victory being 2020 at 14-3. Playing them in Athens, we beat them by a differential of 102-26. Okay, we're talking about a team last week whose starting quarterback had 30 whole yards. And as a team, I believe I'd have to click over to see the stats, but if I read it correctly, I think that against South Carolina, they had 2 yards rushing total for the whole game. And that brings me to, so what is it? What is it about playing in Kentucky? Kentucky is not beating the, I did some looking around. I listened to some other pundits. I went back and looked at the games, things like that. But somebody made a point that was very true. And if you line up all of the teams in the SEC, Heinz Field is not even in the top 10 most difficult place to play in the SEC. I mean, you're talking, you got to go through Bryant Denny, Jordan Hare, definitely Tiger Stadium.
Heinz Field?
Heinz Field, that's the name of the field, isn't it?
That's the name of the field? Is it? I thought Heinz Field was Pittsburgh.
Kroger Field. I'm sorry, Kroger Field. My bad. Kroger Field. Thank you. I knew it was a grocery of some sort.
You're right. You got the ketchup. Where's the mustard?
Wait a minute.
Heinz is a condiment, not a grocery store.
Wait a minute, Sean. Who we playing again?
Look out for that mustard. You about to play Tennessee soon.
Yeah, I know, right?
Joke.
Nope, that ain't it. That's not it. I was looking for the mustard. There it is. That's the to get you. There we go. So Kroger Field is not a very difficult place to play. You got Bryant Denny, you got Jordan Hare, you got Tiger Stadium. Even at their worst, South Carolina is South Carolina is a tough place to play. You get them, whatever the capacity of the stadium is. You get all the people waving the Bryce Williams. And they're waving the towels and playing Sandstorm. You can even go outside the SEC and go to Virginia Tech when they start playing Enter Sandman before you get to Kroger Field. And that's not a knock on Kentucky. It's just that this year Kentucky is not beating the world. And we can't go in there and come out with a statement win.
Well, I think we got him on the weekend as well. Because, I mean, you're coming off a bad loss and Vanderbilt's coming off with a bad show. I mean, like, he came out, to show his behind. So, I mean, that played a factor in too. Plus, he's playing his old team. Maybe a little bit of animosity there. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, a lot of factors of why we don't continually play well against them. I have no idea. But this game, plenty of factors, I think.
Oh, Johnny, I see. You see that latest update Johnny just put in there?
Yeah.
You can talk about your team now.
Apparently there's another team in Georgia that's winning by a narrow margin right now. Hey, at least we can say that right now we are beating the Eagles. So
let's go.
I'll take it. I will take it. Okay. As long as it doesn't turn into a 25-point margin of lead at halftime, it turns into an overtime loss. I'm good with it. Yes, pew pew, shots fired. I said it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's in Washington coaching us now. So thank you. We look forward to that.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. Honestly, I don't think he was the problem. I think Atlanta, and then we'll get back into Georgia. I think Atlanta low-key has a Jerry Jones-esque problem in Atlanta and Arthur Smith, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So Yeah, so we talked about this extensively over the weekend, and there was much joking made about the use of voice notes and things of that nature. Made Reverend Red Black preach a couple of sermons, and it wasn't even Communion Sunday. But this question was asked, and Sean, I'm going to toss this one to you. Did you think that Georgia just looked past Kentucky because they're playing Alabama in 2 weeks?
I don't. I mean, if we go back to Collin, you mentioned the last 4 that you played at Kentucky. That was what you mentioned. The last 4 games Georgia played at Kentucky.
Back and forth. I mean, like the last 5 games we played in general.
And most of those games were close. I mean, you had that one that was the blowout, but most of them were close.
Well, the last 3 were with Munkin, right? The last. Well, this one this year, and then the last 2 before that were with Munkin. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, whenever so I don't think it's necessarily y'all overlook them because we were on here last week talking about Alabama and how they can barely get past South Florida. You know what I mean? So if anything, maybe Alabama I would have thought was going to overlook, on the way to y'all. But I don't think we're giving Stoops, their coach, enough credit. I mean, this guy, we know the pedigree, we know that family, and I think his game plan against y'all was don't make any mistakes. And for
they made very little.
Every play but one, they made mistakes. Well, now obviously we'll know they made some defensive errors and this and that, but with the exception of that fumble that Vandegrift had where he was holding onto the ball too daggone long and had 2 or 3 guys in his face, with the exception of that, they played, I don't want to say a perfect game because the passing game really was non-existent, but I mean, they did what I talked to you about last week. They hit the edge, like Collin was saying. They ran the ball up the middle. And the thing that I think was different in this game is most teams, when you shut them down in their run game, they give up and try to go to the pass. Well, we all know once a team gives up and goes to the pass, them dogs going to eat. And your pass rush gets to them. And if it doesn't, you know what the secondary is going to do to them. But the fact that Kentucky continued to run the ball, you made the point that they only had like 2 yards. I think they had, 150, 170 on the ground this week. I mean,
98 of which from Sumo.
Right. They dedicated this game to run the ball. And at certain points of the game, even announcers said Stoops was playing everything as kind of conservative and perfect to the T as he possibly could. Continue to run the ball. Yeah. No high-risk passes. Not going for it on crazy situations in our own end of the field. It just, if you look at this thing from a total stats perspective and like the team situation, I hate to say they outplayed you.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No,
listen,
your point. We talk about that.
I know you that dude. Just like you're not the kind of guy to be like you kind of want some an opposing point of view. I have none because everybody in America watched that game. I'm not even gonna sit here and fix my mouth. Look, like my boy Shay say, ain't nobody got time for that bull job. I ain't sitting up here bull jobbing with you. Everybody watched that game. Kentucky outplayed Georgia until probably the final 8 minutes of the game. And even then,
Sean, you had a good point. When we were talking that the defense, our defensive players had their hands on the hips. They were tired. They just they kept getting yards. They were on the field way too long. That was a factor as well, and they found a way to keep us on the field.
Yeah.
So
everything you guys did in that game was to give the other team the game. I mean, you went like 5 of 13 on third down. You gave up the time of possession by I think 10 or 11 minutes to those guys. Yeah. Even they had the 1 turnover, 9 the 9 penalties. None of these things are characteristic of Georgia. But at the same time, we've seen, like in the Clemson game, you start slow, they make the adjustments, they come back in the second half. Even in the second half, and look like the adjustments, they worked a little bit, but I think a lot of what you guys have been, like you guys have talked about it, when you kind of put the foot on the gas, other teams kind of fold. And I think Kentucky being in the SEC, challenging you guys, and seeing what you mentioned in those voice notes, Anthony, that this can be done. Missouri last year, South
was
Carolina
looking,
gave you guys a rush.
Yep.
Kentucky over the years. So it's not that you guys are invincible, but you guys can be beat. But knowing that you can beat a team is half the battle. A lot of teams, they come in to either y'all or wherever they're playing,
They come in
and
shook.
they're already done. They're already done.
They come in shook. I get like case in point, Bama's not scared of us anyway, because the only games that we've lost in the last 3 years have been to Bama, but we're going into Bryant-Denny Stadium. Bama is not afraid. You understand what I'm telling you? They're not afraid of us.
Last time we were there, I think we won. We won and done with Stafford, I think. The last time we
Ooh,
but
I mean, the Natty. You won the Natty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last time we won in Alabama, it's been a good long minute.
Stafford to that one and done overtime, I think.
I mean, like we got this is the rest of this. This is the rest of the schedule. Okay, this is where it concerns me now, based on what I've seen. Now, every year, for the last 3 seasons, the previous 3 seasons, there's been that challenge game, and then they've stepped up and run the table. But this is this year's schedule. Okay, generally speaking, the toughest game remaining on the schedule after we have that scare game is more than likely Ole Miss, right? Well, we got Ole Miss, but we're playing at Bryant-Denny in 2 weeks. Auburn is coming to Sanford the week after that. Then we got now Mississippi State. I don't want to write them off because I don't like to look past anybody. But Mississippi State is not. Mississippi State's coming to Sanford. They can bring on the cowbells they want to. But then the week after that, we're going to Austin. And you guys saw Quinn Ewers, who is phenomenal, head and shoulders phenomenal quarterback, got hurt. And then some kid with some famous uncles with great hair came in and showed everybody he could run as fast as Usain Bolt if he wanted to. And we're going into that mess. Then we got the Florida game 2 weeks after that. And then guess what? Then we traveled down to Oxford to play Ole Miss. And then we got Tennessee after that. Like this is not your grandfather's. Hey, Georgia fans, this is not your dad's. Me being the age demographic of your dad's. This is not your dad's Georgia Bulldog schedule right here.
Well, this is to make up for all the people saying we had a cake schedule last year. You know, I mean, we had a bunch of home games last year. You know, we had the fewest I've ever seen away game, and our schedule was for the most part cake. But I'm happy. I welcome this kind of schedule, but it is going to be tough to. I mean, it's going to be tough to run out. Like, I mean, to run out without a loss is going to be, insane.
It will be very impressive. Actually, I listened to 3 different radio shows today. One on my way in, one on my way home, and one at lunch. And all 3 of them said, with that schedule, they don't see Georgia coming out without a loss. But even if they go 10-2. They probably would still get a berth in the CFP just because of the strength of the schedule. I mean, you're not just going to walk past Alabama.
We should use that last year.
Well, but that's just the thing. Like, I mean, we know you guys can play big name games, but I think I heard somebody say today that a lot of these great teams it's cyclical. It's in a cycle. You look at, obviously nobody's been able to duplicate the 15 years that Saban had when he was at Bama and everything like that. But look at some of those teams that did good. Look at the Florida where they had 2 or 3 years, in a row. Look at the Texas teams, USC, Nebraska.
Urban Meyer at Ohio State.
Ohio State, right. You know what I mean? These teams had 2, 3 potential years where they were just nasty and everything. And then eventually you get a new cycle of kids that come in. You get other teams that start to get that talent. So then it becomes, okay, well, what is this cycle over? And when I say the cycle, I don't mean, you guys are going to immediately go to a trash team or you immediately go to like dumpster fire in the SEC. But are you guys as feared as you were 2 years ago? 2020, 2021, nobody was touching you. Nobody except Bama had any candle to.
Nobody was afraid of us in 2020. That was
the first year? The first championship year?
That was 2021.
Okay.
2020,
Oh, 2021.
2020 was
2022.
2020 was a COVID year, and we had a couple of hiccups along that way, and we were
Well, yeah,
rebooting.
2021.
We were rebooting
Yeah, to your
after
point.
Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
21 and 21 and 22. Well, 21 specifically. By about game 4, they were like, we ain't scoring on that defense. But nobody's afraid of it. Nobody's afraid of the big bad wolf anymore.
Well, and you start to see with a lot of your players, and I think this is a prime example of that. Their starting quarterback was your ex-quarterback that had been with you guys for years and then realized, all right, Carson Beck's not going anywhere, so I got to go make my name somewhere else. So, and I talked to Collin about this.
Yeah.
Right. He knows the inside, he knows all your stuff, but at the same time, he's personally invested in this. And if he's close with the coach and now they got the other team ready to go and that they're at in Kentucky, it was a recipe for disaster. But these type of things happen. And you've seen players who's the other guy? Muse. You guys talked about him last year. Didn't he transfer somewhere?
Yeah, he took off.
Because I was.
But Dumas Johnson's on Kentucky too. Dumas Johnson is on Kentucky as well. He transferred there last year.
You had the other guy that went to Bama last year, then ended up going into pros from you guys. So what it's saying is now Kirby doesn't have that tight control where all of his guys are staying here and they all know X, Y, and Z. It's saying that there's a lot of the transfer portal, NIL, and everything. Now it's like, look, I can go somewhere else and I can get it. Now at the end of the day, it still comes down to you got to play football. And right now, you guys are by far still the best, in my opinion, especially if the viewers is out. But again, we can all say that. And at the end of the day, you still got the W. And that's what everybody keeps telling me in Washington.
That is a point that I drove home with somebody at work today. I'm sorry, Collin, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's the point I drove home today. I said the one thing, the saving grace from that game is that I think the saving factor in that game was the offense being able to get in the end zone because and put together a drive. It gave the defense time to get off the field and rest. And then when they scored, the guys got hyped and said, okay, let's go out here and close this thing out. And they were able to, in the face of adversity, yet again, for a 4th consecutive freaking year, to pull something out to pull a game out when it looked like there was a potential for the game to be lost. Before Collin, before you jump in, I got a comment here and it's a little long for the screen. I don't want to cover Sean's face, but Nate puts in the Nate put in the comments. He said Georgia shouldn't be number 1 in the rankings, but it's proven that Georgia can be exposed. Well, Georgia has been exposed, my friend. Georgia was exposed against Missouri 2 seasons ago. Georgia was
this year.
Oh, this year? Oh yeah, 100%. But point that I'm trying to make with that statement is it's been proven every year. 2 years ago against Kentucky in Lexington.
Has it?
Yeah,
you guys still won, even when you guys played close games 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You guys still went on to win it all, and with the exception of last year being the CFP. I mean, if last year was this year, you guys are in there by far.
100%. 100%.
I don't think it exposed you. I think you guys got it still, but each week is different.
Well, to in response to that, Nate, I do believe the rankings came out and Texas has leapfrogged us. So I think it's now Texas number 1, Georgia number 2. Which, you know what? To be completely honest, Sean, you've been rolling with us for a minute. What is Collin and our philosophy? We would rather not be number 1 any damn way because the target's on your back.
Absolutely.
So, I mean that's how we that first year we got that championship. Me and him all season. We'll stay number 2. We'll stay number 2. We'll stay number 3. As long as we get in the CFP, that's the goal. Once you get in the CFP, it's time to drink the go juice and get to the championship. And that's
different this year.
And that's what happened. I love that.
It's different this year.
You have no idea how good it feels as a Georgia fan to be able to point to something that's recent. It's still got the little shine on it. You know how trophies get a little dusty after a while. You got to polish them, no matter how much you polish them. They still dull.
What have you done for me lately?
Huh?
What have you done for me lately? You can look. Where are my Washington signs? Let me do that. What you want me? You want me on here to be nice, or you want me on here to come at you? Because I'm ready with the smoke.
Okay, hey, look, Snoop Dogg, you need
We'll
to
go
calm
jail,
down.
go home.
All I'm saying is we wouldn't let a play or two away from getting into the CFP, my friend. So it's not like we didn't go. It's not like we didn't.
So that's why I think this year is going to be different, because even if y'all lose, it doesn't matter this year, because they're going to take. We've seen what there's 6 out of how many teams are in like the top 10 from the SEC. They're going to take the top SEC teams. You guys by far that team. So I don't think one loss is going to do it. It's going to be the team that is battle tested. And right now, you and Texas are the 2 teams that are battle tested, because even Michigan is Alex, but even Michigan is having their day.
Well, they got their hardware. They don't for a little while. But, no, let's go back to Kentucky for a little bit. So what I'm saying, if you watch Kirby's press conference before the game, he hyped up. I mean, like he was talking big about Kentucky, as well he should, right? And he had massive respect for Stoops, massive respect for program players and what have you. And then after the game press conference, he said, "I was trying to tell y'all, nobody wanted to believe me." But, he was honest. He's like, I told you they were a good football team. Nobody wanted to leave me. Mm-hmm. So he knew they were a great football team. I mean, there's always going to be that, that kind of game, especially in the SEC. We have them all, all the time. Every year we have those kind of games that shouldn't be close, that are very, very close, or either, you lose them. Look at Vanderbilt. Listening to these Oklahoma fans, these Texas fans talking about they're going to run the SEC, I said, y'all are going to get bit by Vanderbilt. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Not this year, not next year, but it's going to happen. They're going to creep up and bite you. Everybody gets a Vanderbilt loss.
But now, right, and now y'all need to pay attention too. Not this year.
We've already been there.
I think they might have got found out this year. But
we've been there. Kirby's first year, we lost Kentucky and Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech, I think. No, we didn't. I don't think it was bad.
They went on to win 2 titles.
Yeah, speaking of the AP polls are out. Texas is number 1. Georgia's ranked number 2. Ohio State is number 3. Alabama number 4. Ole Miss is 5. Tennessee is 6. Missouri is 7. Miami is an 8. Oregon is at 9. And rounding out the top 10 is Penn State, with USC, Utah, Kansas State, OSU, and OU rounding out the top 15.
Mm-hmm. So that's the way that plays out. If you win your championship, your SEC championship, then you get a bye. Even if you don't, by your record and the amount of teams that you play in the SEC, you're still probably going to be like the 5th seed, which means you're going to get a home game to start off the playoff. That's why this season is so crazy, right? Yeah. Because then you're playing at home in the cold in Georgia late in the season. Man, I'm so hyped for this fall, man, or for November and December and all that.
Bro, you have no idea. Oh, by the way, here's my impersonation of every Texas fan after hearing the AP polls come.
We're back.
They got 2 quarterbacks better than him right now. So
6 years. 6 years has been since that happened. Almost 7.
Quite a bit younger.
And this is the first time that it has been remotely close to being true.
Last year too. They were a drive from making it to the national championship game.
Hey Johnny, I am a wake you bake a bit. I was looking up that clip. Leave me alone. Been a minute since I had a chance to use it. Oops, did I fire another shot? Pew pew.
Bye.
Johnny was the one that posted the Eagle score, so yeah.
I'll just say it.
Okay.
What you gonna do?
Well, I'm doing better than I thought they would without their 2 running backs. I thought that was going to be a huge, not a huge hit, but it would take some toll on them. But it would put more of a load on yours. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it really has. But he's been balling out, so it's ours. So having those 2 quarterbacks is it's kind of a blessing. I'm glad ours is playing now.
Well, hey, real quick, Collin, you got the party in the back? You got the party in the back?
You didn't see that? Yeah. Oh, you should have seen me about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Oh yeah. Dude,
Let's go.
I got a bet with my I don't know if you call it midlife crisis or a bet with my son. My son's hair, Brady's hair, is down to here.
Ooh,
He won't get his hair cut.
hey, grow it out.
He'd gone past
I was like,
handsome.
yeah,
He'd
I
gone
was like,
past
you know
the
what? I
handsome, brother.
never in my life would have thought I would get detangler from my son.
That's crazy.
No, he's getting his cut. He's getting a cut on Wednesday.
I tell you what, gents, on that note, let's take a really quick brief break. Those of you just joining us, welcome to This Week in UGA Football. I am Mr. Fingaz, coming to you from Zagnib Central, live from the 405. Collin P from the DMV is in the building. And that fella right there, that guy right there, you know him, you love him. He loves to run. We can call him Usain Bolt from now on because he loves to run the race. That sounds like it might be a preacher somewhere popping around. Oh, by the way, before I even go into the break, gentlemen, Collin, I hadn't told you this yet, and I feel bad because you're my co-host, but I had a discussion with the Godfather down here. Starting in 2 weeks, every show will have a little something brought to us courtesy of the Right Reverend Red and Black. He will be joining us for every show. He sent a letter. He said he wanted to join. He appreciated being on the shorts, but he wanted a little more FaceTime. And I believe his exact words were, Deacon, make sure you got my honorarium when I get there, and I'll expect my usual accommodations. And I said, no problem, Rev. We got you covered. So Rev will be making a pop-in on us once a week. I think he will make his debut. No, he'll make his debut depending on when he gets here. He may make his debut next week during the bye week before the Bama game. So
we can always use a good message, man. It's all good. I welcome it.
Yeah. So Reverend Red and Black will be joining us. I got to get some church music because that's all the music I got right here. That's all the music I got for sound.
Yeah.
Right there, musicians there.
Oh, happy day. You gotta get that.
Happy day.
Oh,
Happy day now.
Lord have mercy. All right, y'all. Y'all stay tuned. We will be these two just got up now. Now we going full Sister Act 2. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm over here doing the hold a long note like Burton Richardson on the Arsenio Hall show, and that thing just sitting there like, nope, not gonna let you in yet. He stopped talking. Now we can come back. So anyway, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to This Week in UGA Football. Mr. Fingaz, Collin P, Sean Spencer. Hey, Sean, you know what? I'm disappointed in you, sir.
What's up?
You've been on this show for 40 minutes. I have not gotten a single left hand up at all.
I'm not proud of that win. I'm not proud of it. 7 field goals.
Hey, you know what, bro? Look, let y'all mess around and be in contention for a playoff spot. You'd be like that one win made that difference. You'd be like, hey, power to the people.
Points is points.
I'm sorry I started a fight in the middle of your Panther party.
You already know there is only 1 or 2 weeks that I will be noticeably happy. And that's when our dear friend Janae Streller takes that L to Washington, which actually, shout out, I want to say the reason why we are not doing Let's Talk Football is because Janae's mom's birthday today. So happy birthday to Bishop Struther. Love you dearly. Don't like your Cowboys, but it's all good.
Yeah. Hey, happy birthday, Bishop. Happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity is a wonderful thing. The Lord say, if you make it, listen, there's some people in the scripture that say, I said what I said. Don't look at me like I said something wrong. They say in the scripture that longevity is a beautiful thing. Hey, look, we ain't talking about that club where they perform the acts, the club, the city where they do ta-da. Not that one in Atlanta where they got the good wings. I said the strip shit, the good book. It say that longevity is a good thing. That's why Methuselah lived all that time. Abraham was 278 years old and was still making babies. Longevity is a good thing. Touch your neighbor, say longevity is a good thing. We sending birthday blessings out to the right Bishop Strother on the birthday. Happy birthday. I'm all done. Sean's face said, the views and opinions expressed by Mr. Fingaz and Reverend Red and Black are not necessarily those shared by Sean Spencer, the Let's Talk Football family of podcasts, or any of the affiliates thereof.
Somebody hit me up like, what is this man talking about? I was like, he's preaching. He's preaching. Let the man preach.
You had that steak face like, I can't even laugh at this because Janae Mom gonna be like, Janae, talk to your boy. You still doing football with that boy? He was on there with the dude talking about the strip club.
Look, I'm trying to send it to him now. I'm trying to send it to him.
Down to Jericho.
Shout out to our guy Kevin Monroe in the comments. What's going on? What's going on there, dog fan? Who's that coming down the track? We're not gonna get into that. Anyway, listen. What it boils down to, we were talking about the Georgia versus Kentucky game. We've been breaking that down here. We're going to jump into some around the SEC in a minute. But what it boils down to for this game, for me, is that every time we have one of these games, and I've said it last season and I've said it the season before, it gives other teams a blueprint. Other teams are taking notes. And like I said, Bama is not afraid of Georgia, but you can best believe Kalen was watching that game. You can best believe Jalen Milroe was watching that game. You can best believe the entire coaching staff at Alabama was watching that game. And they are right now formulating a game plan to try and duplicate, if not exceed, what Kentucky was able to do against us.
See, Kirby could be a mad scientist, though. He could be playing that game. He may not be playing the big plays that we were doing. You know, he may be holding something close to the vest. I mean, somebody would mention that the other day. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, we didn't play our best game, but maybe he didn't throw the whole playbook out there.
You don't say. For real, though?
I'm saying came up with
that one all by yourself, huh?
So honestly, in my opinion, one thing we do know is that Kirby is one of the best at adjustments. So to this point that Kevin's making, I think by the time, and the fact that you have a bye week in between the Bama game, you're going to be ready for that game. You know, you're not. If the team that played this past week played the rest of the season, you'd have something to be worried about. But to be perfectly honest, Kirby is if not the best adjustment coach in college football, and I think that is what's going to come out. You still have the top players in the country, you know. So
you got me and him and Anthony understand that, but I think he's mainly talking about the other Dog fans. I mean, if you go to other group chats and all this other stuff, like fire Bobo, Kirby, the main garbage that they always do. You know what I mean? After one bad game, you know what I mean. But we know what you're talking about, Sean. I mean, I agree with you.
And you can break it down that way. If you look at how they played, I mean, by the stat sheet, this is where I disagree with it. Just they didn't throw everything out there, and Kirby was just he overlooked. I think what happened was Kentucky came out and they had the one little thing. Pastor, what they call it? Yeah, the faith of a mustard seed. If you have that little bit of faith and a good game plan, things can work. But even still, you're not going to beat Georgia with 114 yards passing. Okay, no. So for whatever Brock Vandagriff and that team was able to do, you guys weren't truly ever in jeopardy because all you had to do was, like you said, score a touchdown. You know what I mean? But you needed a little help. You got the help. But like Kevin's saying, like you guys are saying, on to the next one. And you got a week, and Kirby's going to run them boys and tell them not to get any cars.
There was a Facebook post that said there was a Facebook post that said Kirby Smart, quote, after the game. No, what it said, I guarantee you Kirby made all them boys get on the bus with their pads on and said practice at 6 a.m. on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if he said, how far is Georgia from Kentucky? Okay, let's run. Hurry up. And you better not be late.
He was lighting
a nice night for a run. Let's go.
He was lighting them up on the sidelines.
Oh yeah. He was hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was hot.
But but there are some things that you can take from this game that I do think, and I talked to you about this from the Tennessee Tech game, and I know, Kevin, all y'all would be like, oh, what? They were terrible. Yeah, but there was things that I saw in that game that carried over to this one, and that is if a team runs that RPO and they can get a guy to the edge on you guys, it's sometimes it's difficult. You look at, you guys talked about last year, Auburn. Auburn's terrible. Peyton Thorne is not a great quarterback, but in that RPO offense where he's consistently running and you got to figure out who's getting the ball and they hit the edge on you guys, that's when there have been problems that have come about. Now, it hasn't been a big issue because Carson Beck normally goes over the top on you guys. And once the pass game, this is the other part. Carson was missing a lot. So he had some passes that were wide open that he just missed. And even the announcers like, this is not like him. Like, what's going on?
I think his QBR was like 68.
Yeah, just chalk it up to a bad game, but be aware there are things, like you said, there are stuff on that chalkboard. It's like, okay, if we can do this successfully and then get a couple plays, they're not unbeatable. But I think they're gonna beat Bama. I'm putting it out to you that.
I heard. Don't think I didn't for a second, Deacon. I didn't hear you mention that mustard seed. You know what I mean? Maybe because of the fact that we might be playing Tennessee, we're gonna be playing Tennessee soon. I might say we have to change the seed to a garlic seed at least till after we play Tennessee, because your mustard seeds become mustard plants, and then they put them in bottles and throw them at people, especially if they're in Knoxville. You just gotta be careful. But if you have the faith, decide. Look, David didn't.
Kevin said it right there.
David didn't pick up no big rock. It didn't say David picked up a boulder. It said it just got a pebble.
Yeah,
all it needed. Anyway, we gonna keep this thing because I'll be the guy up in this thing, and then we be in here. Then we next thing you know, we have somebody here singing like John P. Key. But Bama is up next on the 28th. We going to Bryant-Denny, one of the hardest places to play. You know what? I'm gonna pass this with you, Collin. What are you looking for in terms of performance from? Let's go with the defense. What are you looking for in performance of the defense? What are some key things you're looking at them improving on against? Because one of the big things is key factor for Bama is Jalen Milroe. Not a prolific passer, but he can get you with the pass and he can beat you with his feet. So what you got? You are muted, sir. Please stand by. Technical difficulties.
Good.
I'm not sure. Well, here's one of the things that I'm looking for. Like you mentioned earlier, while Collin's getting that worked out, seal off those edges. I think I definitely think between Kirby and Bobo, they are definitely going to plug up that middle. One of the things that Georgia is infamous for is that front four, and has been for the last few years. And once the offense gave them a little bit, what we used to like to call a huffalo, get your breath together. Once the defenses are able to get a huffalo, they came out and they started shutting everything down. So I really want for them to work on sealing off the edges, because Milroe can draw play up the middle, or he can go around the corner. I mean, he doesn't have Usain Bolt speed, but if he gets around that corner on you, he might be gone. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm looking for. And then some type of improvement. Carson's got to work on his, I think. Well, you know what? I don't really think he came unglued. He even though they were kind of struggling to move the ball, that's a plus. If I got to take anything away from the game, he didn't really come unglued. He didn't seem like he was panicked. He just, like Cat Williams say, trying stuff, no one worked, trying stuff. But he never really came unglued. So that's where I'm going to stop with the defense. I think that's what I want to see is the guys really sealing off those edges. And penalties. Please get the penalties under control for the love of sweet Jesus.
Collin, hop out and hop back in. See if that's what it is. I don't know what. But yeah, while he's trying to figure that out, yeah, no, I mean, look, it starts and stops with the run game. On offense, you saw, you said missed 3 opportunities to touchdown. I think he was kind of off because the run game struggled. ETN, yeah, he had a couple big runs. I think he had 89 total yards and everything. But when the run game struggles over the years, especially over the last couple of years, if the run game struggles, then the QB play struggles because that play action is so nasty, like the way that they're able to come off there. So if you have trouble in the run, that's one thing. But the other thing, and I told you this in the group chat on Sunday or on Saturday, is that if the run game is working for the other team, that keeps that offense off the field. I do believe that if an offense is off the field and they can't get that mojo, that they're not warmed up, it's like an old car. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of time. Now, normally Georgia's offense doesn't take any time to warm up, and they just get going and rev it up, and everything's cool. And not to bring a car reference, but normally they're kind of like Lambos. In this game, they were kind of like a Ford Tempo. They were just kind of like. Well, I mean,
we use this for. Was that a shot?
I'm just saying. And look, North Carolina players don't get arrested for driving. I'm just.
I'm just saying. I'm also shocked that you use anything with the phrase "off the field." I thought after the old regime in Washington was gone, there was no more winning off the field.
But yeah, to your point, I mean, look, the defense has got to stop the run, which normally they don't have a problem with. But when you're on the field for an extended period of times, like you were talking about, and then the offense, they can't get a consistent run game going, that's crazy. That creates problems. Like Green Pinto and nobody. Yes, Kevin.
How about now?
There we go.
You're good.
All right. Now you're here.
Yay, ladies and gentlemen, Collin is back.
The microphone was used to slide. Whatever.
It said, talk about Bama, you think? What? No.
He back.
What you want me to do?
Hey, you know what I was saying. Bama does, Bama do.
Yep.
Oh, man. So
yeah, what you think, Collin? Did he freeze?
No, I mean, what I was saying before is like, my name of mine. I mean, I think we need to get to him. We need to get to Milrow and, get him, makes bad decisions and get him on the ground if we can. The more times we do that, the better off we'll be. But if we let him, get around the corner, if we get him, out of the pocket, he's gone. I don't think our defense, we had trouble with, Kentucky to get them around the corner, but hopefully we can, get that situation taken care of in the next 2 weeks or whatever. But, that would be what. We just need to contain them and force some turnovers. And our secondary don't need to give up big passes. That's basically my take on it. As long as we can get a hold of Milrow and pressure him, we'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he can. We also have to. We also have to hide the bean pie stash.
Look, Miss Terry and with the honorable, was it the honorable Nick X?
The honorable Nicholas X.
The Bama does what Bama do.
No, yeah, you're
28 things.
I think you're right, Collin. I think you got to get the pass game work and everything like that. But to your point about Milrow, yes, if his wheels are working and he gets out there and going, I think he's good. But I think in that South Florida game, one of the things we saw is that they're trying to kind of like Lamar make him more into a pocket passer. And so there's a lot of times where he has an open lane and he'll stop to like look for a pass. And that might work against him when he playing y'all. And Saban's not on that sideline. Saban was on the sideline when he beat y'all last time.
Yeah. I saw that too.
So,
but looking at like Williams has so far he's got 285 yards, 10 receptions, 4 touchdowns so far. Miller's got 29 carries for 265 yards and 3 touchdowns. So they're doing all right. But if we can stop them, we can stop the run, close the holes up, not give up big runs, and give up the big ball pass. And maybe our big thing is we need to score. We need to score a lot of points. I mean, like we need to score every time we get the ball.
Yeah,
which I think.
because Bama is not about that. Bama is about the business of scoring points, 100%.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think this game with you guys is going to be more of a chess match, like similar to what it was with that game against Saban. I don't think it was who had the better players, even though I think you guys did. I'm talking about the SEC championship. I think it was a chess match because there was plays right before halftime where where Bama there was a series right before halftime where it was a third down and Saban ran it. And then Kirby Smart called a timeout because he thought he was going to get the ball back. And then Saban lined up for a play, and then I think Saban called a timeout because they were like, what are we going to do? Then Saban lined up to go for it. Kirby called a timeout, and then Saban and they had like a little mind game going. And that's when there was that pass that was caught that we was like, they rushed. They didn't know if it was caught or not. And they're like, and then they just kept the play going so they didn't have to review it. And I think that little mindset changed. And that's what I'm interested to see if DeBoer can have that kind of mindset against Kirby, because we know Kirby and Saban, Kirby's from the Saban tree, right? So they know what each other's doing. So it's like, oh, you're doing this? Oh, let me match you with this.
Saying, like the adjustment. You mentioned this adjustment. Saban is the adjustment master.
Like a CD for a second there, Sean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you skipping like CD from the Kirby, you're a wet Kirby, but Saban, yeah, right. Bro, listen, I was trying to listen to what you were talking about, but we just got hit with this comment. I gotta put this up, man.
Yes. And here's one more for you, Kevin. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was younger, I totally emulated Steve Urkel. So much so that if you know anything about that show, Family Matters, there was one episode where they had a rooftop party and Steve Urkel came with the Urkel dance. And for Halloween, I do that. I used to do that for 3 or 4 years in a row, but I know the lyrics and everything. So that's not the first time I've heard that. I've also heard Will Smith. So
it's fun,
I don't know.
Well, dude, all I can tell you is that you have seen pictures of me in high school. I was Steve Urkel before Steve Urkel was a thing. You understand? I was a precursor to Steve Urkel by about 5 or 6 years. I sincerely think that one of my classmates followed me around with a video camera and wrote and took notes and got a job working for ABC. Got a job working for ABC and said, I got a perfect show I'm gonna pitch to you. I got this perfect character to add to this show, and it's just gonna make us a whole bunch of people. Seriously. I mean, I was nerdy. I had the voice. I had the voice. I had the pants. I was very uncoordinated the whole nine. I didn't
don't put that last message up by Scott. Oops. I had to hit him up in the group chat. You ain't now, Scott. There was a time and place when I would have been like, oh, thank you. But even though it's not true, it don't look like it. But no, Scott. No. I had to get on Scott today because Scott was talking about, am I eating dogs and cats? And there was a whole big issue right there. We try with Scott. Keep moving.
You see that video of D-Love? D-Love was pounding that guy, pancaking that guy? The one I posted in the chat?
Oh, yeah. The receiver?
Love it.
He pulled out.
Yeah. He wouldn't let him up. That was hilarious.
He pulled out.
Reminded me of Pickens.
All righty then. We just got to keep that moving along. You listen to it in a different kind. I'm going to let y'all go back and listen to the replay later and see how that sounds. Gentlemen.
Everybody's like Hollywood Squares.
Oh man, which one of y'all is Paul Lynn? Alrighty. So real quick, what are your final thoughts? We were gonna do a segment on it. Well, we got time. You got time, Sean? You good?
Mm-hmm. I ain't going
all right. Alrighty then. Well, we've talked about the Georgia game ad infinitum. Final thoughts before we move on to the next segment around the SEC. Anybody want to go? Anybody want to give me a score prediction for the game?
Ooh.
We know Bama likes to run the scoreboard. They love to run the clock. I'm going to go with Georgia wins this one. I think Georgia wins this one 49 to 30. Nah, two scores. 49 to 40. Georgia. That's what I got.
49 to 40.
And of course, I have
be
no
high
writing.
scoring.
I have no writing utensils. There we go. All right, Sean. How about you?
I'm gonna go 27-23 Georgia. I think it's going to be a lot closer, and I give credit to those defenses. I think those defenses are going to ball out, but I don't see any way that Kirby, after having 2 weeks to prepare, is not ready and going up against Alabama.
Okay, all right, I respect that. All right, my man, Collin P from the DMV. What you got, brother?
35-27. Jordan. So we got, if y'all didn't see the line is Georgia by 2.5, over under 51.5. And they've got the matchup predictors at 66.9% Bama. So,
That's impressive.
oh, we only won against them one time. So that would be a good move. That would be a good call. Go over the odds.
Yep. All right, then. Well, let's talk a little bit about what went on around the SEC this weekend. We know that Texas had a I would say impressive, but they were playing UTSA. I'm not trying to knock that. They did what they were supposed to do. They're playing an opponent that was not of this on the same level. Handled business, came out with a score of 56-7. We've all seen the irony. This story, Hollywood could not have written a better story. For those of you that missed all of it, Fansville had an ad that came on, and Quinn Ewers is now the current playing football star. And they're going, we need to call for backup. He goes, don't need any backup, even if he does have great hair and famous relatives, right? That ad plays. Texas plays UTSA. Quinn Ewers gets hurt and gets replaced by none other than famous relative who gets on the field and shows all the way out. 223 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. I'd say the kid's pretty good. I'm gonna come to you with this one, Collin. What you got on this one, man?
Yeah, I mean, he is as advertised. I mean, he just needed a shot. But you said it though, it's UTSA. So I mean, we'll see what it looks like. It gets to a higher caliber. I'm actually interested to see when if he gets to play against the SEC team. So this, I mean, who they got next? I don't even know. The SEC team besides us. I mean, I'm excited to play him too. So, I mean, that's why I like the East and West. I think the East and West, getting rid of the East and West was the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? That just we always had the teams up top. All the same teams were at the top of the East, and the West mostly every year.
Every year. And it and like you said with the cyclical thing, Sean, in the East is either Georgia, Florida held it for a little bit, but it's been Georgia or Florida, and then over in the West, it's basically been Alabama, LSU's gotten a couple in there, Auburn has gotten a couple in there, so it's basically been a rotating cast of 5 teams over the course of the last 20 years. So it's nice it'll be nice to see some little parity there. Yeah, let's see. Florida's woes continues. Do I
get to talk about Texas?
Oh, I was gonna get you with the next one, my friend.
Oh, that works. All right, I'll go with Florida. I'll go with Florida.
Yeah, so Florida's woes continues. They lose 33-20. They make Texas A&M look like world beaters. Scuttlebutt on the street is that the boosters have the money. I really need to move to Florida. I really need to move to Florida or Texas. There's money around there somewhere. I mean, could somebody in Florida collect enough money for me to retire, please? I mean, since y'all just giving money to people to quit working, supposedly have the money to pay off old Sunbelt Billy's buyout. So what do you got on this one, Sean?
Honestly, first and foremost, I've always been a big fan of Billy Napier since he came from the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Unfortunately, I'm going to be very honest with you. Him taking this job was great, and I still love everything about him. But he took a job at a premier school that was in a tailspin. And
Right.
I almost look at it like Ron Rivera in Washington. Like, there was nothing that you really would have been able to do, especially once Richardson left. But I think it was kind of came full circle this week because he started Graham Mertz. After the injury, he put Graham Mertz in there. Now, Graham Mertz, 12, 15, 195 yards, but he's not a real threat in the run game. So you got and all the fans want Lagway to get in there. They want the backup. And, obviously he did good. Mind you, it was against Sanford. Everybody in the SEC does good against Sanford. But
Very true.
I think that if he don't start making a decision like, look, I need to do something, then those fans are going to have his head. But I think this game is everything is always surrounding Florida and Billy Napier. But I think what we really missed in this game is quarterback Connor Wegman of Texas A&M was a game time decision. He was out. They let the backup guy come in, Marcel Reed. This guy balled out. 100, almost 180 in the air with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 83 yards on the ground with the touchdown. I mean, he was their second leading rusher in this game. But at the end of the day, they had a stout defense and they ran for over 310 yards as a team. So it's hard to beat anybody with that type of when you get rushed on for 300 some odd yards. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, this Texas A&M, everybody's going to look at Texas A&M for the first game when they lost to Notre Dame, and everybody saw Notre Dame lost to NIU. But I just don't think we can put so much weight in these losses, especially early in the season, because everybody still suits up. They still play. And if you could sit here and figure out a way to scheme around the team and get it, you can get this stuff done. Texas A&M might shock some people in the SEC this year. Not going so as far as to say you and Bama and all that, but I don't think they are. I don't think that first game is indicative of what their season's going to look like. And I think this was closer to what they might be. They dominated this game.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Napier has. I don't know if you would say he has lost the locker room, but I mean, you got to remember that guy, that player, was on Twitter. This team sucks. You know what I mean? You got a player going live. I mean, hopefully he's going off the team, but I mean, he needs to kind of wrangle him in, and but I don't know what more you can. It's kind of hard to do that when
when you have recruits come into a game and your team gets beat that bad, and the other players come to our school. That's not a good look.
And letting it happen, you know what I'm saying? They're letting it happen. I mean, that's a big part of it that irritated me. Is like they let it happen. I'd be getting them players off the field. But yeah, I mean, it seems like he might have, he needs to kind of reel the locker room back in, because it seems like it might be part of the
But is it
problem.
too late? Like you said, with the boosters and all that. I mean,
I was dancing around that, saying that, but I mean, it may be.
It's only been. I mean, how many years has it been? 3, 4, and you have not had any type of real progress. Your only claim to fame is a guy that was there who's there before you, and Anthony Richardson, that went pro. That had nothing to do with you. So, and then I think the final straw for a lot of people was when ETN was there, right, at Florida, and then he came to y'all.
Yeah. But he said, he said, I want to go someplace where I win championship, and then in Florida. I mean,
there it is.
I mean, players are saying that, but it makes me wonder if Urban Meyer, when Urban Meyer left, he said he wasn't going to leave. When Tebow graduated, was gone, whatever. Maybe he saw the writing. I mean, I keep saying, jokingly, I say he saw the writing on the wall. That was the downfall of Florida. I mean, after Tebow left, you can look at it, and it was just downhill ever since.
Well, that expectation thing went up, and this is what I want you guys to be wary of. Once that expectation level goes up, where you have back-to-back titles, you already hear it in the fans. But when it really starts hitting, and I know Nate will back me up on this, is when the media starts saying, oh, they're not the big dogs anymore. They're not this, not that. Then all of a sudden you have the fans and the boosters and people in these high positions that are saying, we need to get this guy out of here. And then all of a sudden, those 2 years, the 2 titles and all that stuff. Well, you've
always seen we're not the big dogs on TV. They never say it on ESPN, we're not the big dogs. Like if you listen to them, it's kind of a backhanded comment. You know, it's a backhanded, yeah, big dog.
But then,
Hey,
but the
hey,
other
look,
the other
you see
part
how-
of that though is what really brought down Urban Meyer in Florida was the off the field issues, and
That's
it
true.
seems to be something that Georgia. This is not me taking a shot. This seems to be something that Georgia has. The success has seemed to bring that part out. And you guys, I
Yeah.
don't have to name all the things that have happened, but
Yeah, but
that-
can you attribute that to NIL money?
been the same thing.
NASCAR?
It's been the same thing. It's been the same thing over and over again. Driving issues.
Yeah.
Honest,
Yeah.
it's
Like I
not
said,
been.
give 'em a
You
break.
know, there's been no. I mean, this. You know, we did have the one incident with the one young man who I don't think will ever play football again. That was a couple of seasons ago. But then we did. You know, ever since then, it's just been driving issues. Every time you turn around, somebody's driving 100 miles an hour in some souped up sports car, and that's absolutely insane. But I forgot where I was. There was something else I wanted to jump in with. I think where you were talking about the thing where the media starts getting involved and then people start saying, "Get this guy out of here." I think that Kirby has built up enough goodwill as long as he can figure out a way to put a cap on the off the field stuff, and on the off the field stuff, and at least keep the team in the hunt. He'll have a job because the fans waited 40 freaking years plus to get a championship.
If you win, but think about how they've talked about you even when you were back-to-back national champs. It was still Saban, Bama. What are they doing? X, Y, and Z. So it's hard to talk about this. Yeah, it's hard to talk about this because this is still fresh. This is 21 and 22 that y'all won it. But if it comes a 10-year thing, 10 years down the line, and people start to forget those two titles, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, look at them. What are they doing? Look at them. This is the society we are in, where it's like, let's look at what everybody else is doing.
With all luck and prayers and thoughts and prayers, with all the social media thoughts and prayers, it won't be another 10 years before we get another championship. You know, I mean, hopefully it could be a thing where we're picking up one every couple of years, like old St. Nick. You understand what I'm saying? So as long as we can do something along those lines, Kirby's not going anywhere for a while. I mean, they let Vince Dooley coach until he retired, and that was 8 years. I think he was 88. Yeah, 87, 88 was his last season. He got 8 more years and never won another national title. And he was the most beloved man.
That's my point. You guys are looking at this like, Kirby's the next Saban, but I don't think that's the image you got to look for.
No,
Just
I'm not
play
saying
each
that.
year. No, not you, but I'm talking about in general. That's why people kick people out. That's why they kicked him out. He had the great years. Herschel, Heisman, winning it all, and then 8 years later, he retired. I'm just saying, there are some people out there that are very hungry, and if you're not an every year thing like Alabama, you know the Alabama fans. If you're not winning it every single year, then you might as well be Buck Tussle State because you're terrible to us.
I heard Buck Tussle State beat the Southern Idaho Polytechnical Institute.
They did. It was a blowout.
It was gorgeous. 82-yard bomb to seal the win in the fourth quarter with time expiring on the clock. Band rushed the field and everything. They tore down the goalposts. It took them 3 days because they're, Buck Tussle State, they don't have but like 38 students and 22 of them is a football team. But still, it was great. It's absolutely great. And all 38 of them went on the team bus. They like, oh my God, they got a Luby's in South Dakota. You familiar with Luby's at all, man?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Little Wizard?
Luby's is like Luby's is kind of like a Golden Corral. And when I tell you I don't know if there's a whole lot of them left, but when I tell you they had the absolute best fried chicken, and it might have been, I just realized that I may be walking into a joke by talking about fried chicken on live on the internet, but it may have been that we were just getting out of basic training. Yeah, I said it. I like it because it's delicious. All of y'all that say I'm supposed to like it because I'm genetically predisposed, better go ahead and get yourself a 1, 2, 3 and me DNA or whatever it is.
What's my issue then? I like it.
Anyway, when I tell you they had the absolute best food ever. Like we went in there and we tried to eat that place. We tried to eat that place dry.
To that
Anyhow.
point, we gotta send the RIP to the CEO of Waffle House. He died. Remember that? Remember that football player?
Oh yeah.
Well, out with a flag.
Yeah, God, man, we losing people left, right, and Sunday. Just last week we were saying goodbye to James Earl Jones, and this week we say goodbye to R&B legend Frankie Beverly and Tito Jackson, the second eldest of the brothers that comprised the Jackson Five. He was in Oklahoma. I did not know that. He was in Oklahoma. He was in Oklahoma on his way to Mexico. He had a heart attack in his car.
That reminds me of Chris Tucker's comedy bit about him. Get in the car, Tito. Damn. When he was hanging out with Michael Jackson and Tito. And he was a gangster.
One last car ride.
Stop it. We're gonna say that for one last time. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rapid fire these since we got a little bit off track. South Carolina versus LSU. I think this was by and large one of the greatest performances I had seen by South Carolina since the previous week, honestly. But South Carolina did not come to play. They didn't come to play games Saturday.
Oh yeah.
They gave LSU everything they could take and then some.
This was a travesty. The refs stole this. I agree with that. You go, Will. That's for you, buddy. There was 2 pick sixes that they had penalties called on, and then there was one other touchdown that they called back on. The refs stole this game. I was watching this whole dang on thing. Well, I was watching and had Will in my ear because he was live at the game. But game day was there and everything. And Brian Kelly, look, shout out to him for getting the win, but this man was 1 inch away from slamming the daggone press table at the press conference again because they didn't look good.
I know.
Oh, you mean this interview right?
Opportunities there in that first half, but you're only down by 4. What was your message?
We can't play any worse than that, I don't think. I mean, it's my first game. Maybe we can.
That's always going to be a classic. That is always going to be a classic. But LSU gets away with a squeaker. Ole Miss did what they were supposed to do against Wake Forest. Missouri pulls one out against Boston College, but Boston College actually ranked number 24. So not a bad win. Not a bad win. A close win, but not a bad win. Boston College actually fairly decent this year. Tennessee just beat solid. Tennessee beat in the words of our dear friend Uncle Lou, beat the soul and will to live out of Kent State, but it's Kent State. So that's all we have to say against.
They ain't bad in the MAC. They're not bad in the MAC, but yeah, to your point, it was 50. I think they had 60 points by the first half. I think the second half was 2 6-minute quarters. I think. It was rough.
Yeah, 37, 28, 3.
No. What they wanted to do a running clock, and they said no, and so Tennessee proceeded to with a 60-point lead, kick an onside kick, and recover it and take it in for a touchdown. It was 63-0 at the half. Oklahoma 34, Tulane 19, but it took pretty much the entirety of the game for Oklahoma to kind of. Oklahoma actually, I take that back. Came out. I saw. Of course, being a local guy, I watched this one. Came out of the gate, was giving Tulane to what Fur had them up by 21 to 6.5, and then the offense just kind of went to sleep for a little bit, and they let Tulane back in the game, and it took a late touchdown in the second half to kind of put the deal away. Oklahoma had better wake up and really start playing some ball because the team that I just mentioned with the 71 points. They're going to be here in Norman next weekend. So welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. Let's hope you're not sitting around the dumpster. What's the lady's name, Collin, down in loss prevention on SEC shorts that Vandy has to keep going to see every week? Yeah, let's hope that Oklahoma's not sitting around a dumpster fire next week on SEC shorts.
They got to find some more offense other than their quarterback, Jackson Arnold. I mean, he's their leading rusher. He's their main passer. But if you shut him down, it's going to be interesting. You got to figure out something, some other offense outside of him. And their defense, the way they're thinking, Stutzman, this guy is a monster on defense. Another 10-plus tackle game. But like to your point, they still let Tulane come back in this ball game. A Tulane team that was good a couple years ago, not so much this year.
This is very reminiscent of the game where they were supposed to go to Tulane, and then the hurricane came, and then Tulane came up here, and Tulane almost took that game away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Very reminiscent. And then last but not least, you know what? The running joke is that Vanderbilt is every team in the SEC's little brother. The rest of the conference's little brother, and nobody can pick on Vanderbilt but us. But for the last few seasons, Vandy's been getting off to a fire start, and then of course it kind of putters out. We've been rooting for Vanderbilt. I think Vandy's going to get over the hump at some point, but the win streak ends at 2 this year. They couldn't make it to 3. They lose to Georgia State. I'm just glad to see Vanderbilt having something to be excited about at the beginning of the season. Am I the only one?
Don't belittle Georgia State. That's what I'm going to say. I know they're not Georgia, but
Georgia State has beaten Florida too.
I'm not belittling. I'm not belittling.
You just said they're a little brother, and I'm just happy that they're doing good. Okay, I agree.
Because
in the SEC, they're not there.
I just wanted to see Vanderbilt. I want to see Vanderbilt have some measure of success because, at some point, most of the schools in the SEC have had some measure of success at some point, whether as part of the SEC or in another conference before they join the SEC. Vanderbilt has for the most part been that team that's just been like, well, we're here, and I want to see Vanderbilt do well. Now, I don't want to see them beat us.
Yeah, what constitutes success? You mean like bowl or CFP or?
Yeah, I want to at least.
Have they ever had a bowl game?
No. What? Yes. I will look that up. You guys remain talking. They definitely had a bowl.
I want to see him go. I want to see him, become bowl eligible a few more times than every once in a harvester's moon that happens rarely every 27 years on the third Tuesday after the full moon on Halloween or some crazy crap like that. Like I want to see him do well. And
so they have been in a bowl game. They haven't won a bowl game, but they've been to 9. So
they've been to 9.
Actually, right. Been 9, yeah. Recent one, 2018 Texas Bowl.
Right. Well, I want to see more of that for Vanderbilt because as much as I like the fact that Georgia has made their way to top of the cream in the conference over the last few years, I like seeing other teams in the conference do well also because every time somebody comes from the Big Ten or the Pac-12, the Pac-12, the Pac-4, soon to be 12 again at some point, or another conference, and like you SEC guys think you're all that. Well, we kind of sort of are a little bit of a big deal. Just saying. So I want to see
Alabama's a big deal.
This means more.
I want to see Vanderbilt get a bigger piece of that pie. That's all that is. I'm not knocking Georgia State. You know what? 2 teams showed up. The goal was the goal was to win the game.
Hold on. We're good. You think getting rid of the East and West is going to hinder or help Vanderbilt because they were in the West, right?
Well, we know why Vandy's in there. Vandy's in there for the academic prestige of the conference.
Of course,
you need that, okay?
But still, we got a 47% graduation rate at Georgia. So, I mean, we need them.
So that's part of the reason why they're in there. 47.
47.
47% graduation rate for our football players. That's documented.
Alrighty. Well, most of them leaving their junior year anyway, and they don't go back.
Or they drive around somewhere and they never come back.
What
about Auburn?
7 years and don't have a degree. I mean, you got to accidentally get a degree for 7 years. I mean, like you got to just accidentally get a degree for 7 years. If you're going to go 7 years,
or you could go for 7 years and not get a degree and still play pro football. Pew pew. Auburn handles business against New Mexico.
True. You ain't lying.
Ain't never lied.
45-19. Auburn. Thoughts? Is this real, or can we expect somebody to throw some water on the fire here at some point? What Auburn's cooking up?
No, I think this is real. So the guy that played you guys last year, Peyton Thorne, they benched him this week for the redshirt freshman, Hank Brown, and Hank Brown could play. he got some ability in him, and they were able to get it done. I don't want to sleep on New Mexico. They've had a rough season. They started out now 0-3. Devin Dampier is that entire offense, and he's given them everything that he's got, but the team just is not that good. But I think this quarterback could be okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, as you put it, a world beater, but this quarterback, Hank, I think it was Hank Brown, he balled out. Not bad.
Yeah, he did. He had what did he have? He had 235 yards, 4 touchdowns.
So
Yeah.
they got a running game. I mean, we know that,
Yeah.
but it is 0-3 or 0-2 at the time, New Mexico. So let's see what happens. When they come into the SEC, I think they got because they lost to Cal, they gave that game away, but now they got an Arkansas game coming up where Arkansas, we saw them. They should have lost their game to UAB, but they came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next one. Arkansas wins 37-27 over UAB. Arkansas now 2-1. What are our thoughts on Arkansas? Real or fake, hot or not? Real deal, Holyfield or Temu?
I mean, I think Auburn's going to beat them next week.
I'm
it's
inclined
hard
to
to
think
say.
that they're for real. I mean, their only loss was to Oklahoma State, and they had that game in the bag, and then somehow they let Oklahoma State get back in the daggone game, and they lost that one in OT. I mean, with the exception of that, I think they played pretty well. I love who's the guy you were talking about, Handy? Their quarterback, Green or Dean or whoever their quarterback is pretty.
KJ,
Green.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I was going to say the guy that was there is gone. KJ, he's gone.
No. I'm talking about Green from this year.
Oh, okay, yeah,
because KJ's at Central Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Taylor Green is who you're talking about. Taylor Green.
Yeah. So he can play, but again, this is
shut the front door. The Falcons are winning 15-10 in the third quarter.
Oh yeah. It was 7-6 at the half.
Is Captain Kirk still
We'll get too
quarterback?
excited. We'll get too excited, Anthony.
I'm not. I'm surprised.
Cautiously optimistic, right? Cautiously optimistic.
Wow, what's going on with Jalen? 12 of 17 for 97 yards and 1 touchdown. That's okay.
Man, I got him as my quarterback. Man.
What's his rushing look like?
Who's that?
Jalen.
Let's see. Let's see more player stats here. I'll tell you in a second.
I'm gonna get my butt whooped.
Let's see. Rushing Falcon stats here.
Yeah, 116 yard pass.
Jalen is 6 carries, 51 yards.
Not bad.
I mean, there's not a whole lot going on there. 97 yards passing, and they are just over 100 yards rushing going into the fourth quarter. So I don't know what's going on there.
I've got a 1% chance to win.
You know what? I think they're missing that other Kelsey brother. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. That Tish Push definitely misses it.
He was the anchor behind the brotherly shove for 100%. Let's see. Did we cover all the games here? Mississippi State. That's another one. 17. They lost 17-41 to Toledo at home. It's going to be a long season for the other Bulldogs.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty.
Yeah, so I don't want to write them off, but I'm not expecting really big things out of them this season. So that pretty much concludes the around the SEC wrap up here. Those of you that are still hanging with us, God bless you. We appreciate you hanging out. We appreciate all of you that have dropped in and commented and left us notes and liked and given us the shares. Shouts out to all of you who have come through. But we're just going to go ahead and give what is, Sean, I forgot where that evolved from. What is that?
The first show I came on here with you guys, I froze as soon as I came on,
He froze.
and I had my hand down like this, and it froze with my head
And I
down.
did
like
this. And then we came back on. I did this.
Yeah, that's right. We all did that. That's
Yeah,
right.
we all
We was like, what's going on? Is that the new Urkel dance?
It'll never die.
Can
It'll never
I
die.
do that? Real talk though, Jaleel made a whole rack of money on the back end of Family Matters. He made more.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he got paid pretty handsomely for that time, but he made good money after Family Matters. Just
The
off
only
the
thing
Sonic
that-
alone.
The only
Just
thing,
off
yeah.
the Sonic alone.
Only
Who's
thing that
still in
sucks is that
syndication?
he was typecasted for a while. Everybody wanted to see. It was hard to put him in other roles. Like if you see him, he's on those B
Yeah.
movies or whatever, and it's like, dang.
I don't
And it
see
wasn't
how
until
people
Sonic
do
that he
that.
started getting it.
No.
I don't see how people do that for so long in a show, like be a whole different person. And do, I mean,
yeah.
and then
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, look at who.
yeah,
Look
he's
at
got a
who all
little bit
that
of lisp, like when he really talks, like but he he's
Yeah.
a completely different
Look
person.
who all
look
that
like
happened to though. Look who all that happened to though. You get Gary Coleman, old boy that played Eddie Munster on the Munsters. He said he was typecast. Leave It to Beaver. Tina, what was the lady's name that played Ginger on Gilligan's Island?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Tina Louise. She couldn't find work for a long time. Depending on what gossip mag you read, Alfonso Ribeiro is trying to distance himself as far away from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as possible. Like you just can't find any roles anywhere. It's hard. Although I will have to say I haven't seen any of his other work. I've seen, because I had kids, I've seen, the Sonic cartoons, but I've seen the movie. I don't know if the name of the movie is Who Made the Potato Salad.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that scene where he's in there's like, who made the potato salad? And it starts a whole fight.
Oh yeah, the one where he in there and the dad don't like him. Who? Because the dad cussing him out the whole daggone movie. I got
dad is cussing him out, and then he gets cussed out at the dinner table because he that's
because he a cop, and he a cop, and the whole family like gangsters. Because what's his name in there? Oh, what's that guy's name from not Epps? I think it might be from
it's got I got it pulled up right now. It's got Pinky from Friday After Next. It's got Eddie Griffin
as the dad.
D. Ray Davis, Ronaldo Ray, the Ronaldo Ray from Friday. Like that was Red's dad.
Yeah. What you doing messing with these kids, boy? Get your butt in the car.
Debo's in it. Gary Owen is in it. I'm pretty sure Mark Pfeiffer is got to be Mekhi Pfeiffer's brother because there ain't too many black brothers named Pfeiffer. So yeah, there's a bunch of people in here.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, different. No, Michelle Pfeiffer ain't black.
Well,
Pfeiffer.
It could be.
Pfeiffer in the cipher. Hey, we all black.
That's right.
Wow, a member of the Black Panther Party. That's absolutely crazy.
Who?
All right, so as we go ahead and wrap this thing up and bring it to a close, because I think at this point we had just talked ourselves out. We had talked ourselves out. I just, you know what? For this one, I'm taking a different direction. I'm not even going to do football related. The things that you have in your life right now, learn to appreciate them because stop. We live in a world where social media has given everybody the ability to share their opinion instantaneously, positive, negative, regardless. Take a minute, take a step back, get off the social media. I'm not saying quit it, but just appreciate the greatness of what is going on around you artistically, musically, on the movie screen, in education. Appreciate those things that you have because at some point they will be gone and then you will just be left with a memory. I'm saying that because at this point right now, me being the oldest of the group of the gentlemen assembled here, I am losing at the rate of 1 every 3 days over the course of the last couple of weeks. Someone who was phenomenal at their craft that has been a part of my life for my entire life. James Earl Jones was an actor. long before I was born.
Mhm.
I remember I knew him in movies like Bingo Long Traveling All Stars when Motown actually had a movie division that made movies, and Claudine, and what was the movie where he was a fighter pilot? Was it Dr. Strangelove? I think it was. In plays like Fences before he was even the voice of Darth Vader, and then Darth Vader, and then Coming to America, and then Field of Dreams,
Sandlot.
all of that. Sandlot, like all these movies that he was in. Tito Jackson, enough said. Mike's older brother. That man was a part of my entire life. Frankie Beverly. I remember growing up listening to Before I Let Go as a little boy. Oh God, Louis Gossett Jr., who was in Roots, who played Nick Heaton. I like these people. I appreciate what they did, however, whatever contribution they had, small or large, to their craft, because I grew up on that. Take a moment to appreciate the things that people are doing around you, because at some point it's not going to be here anymore, and all you will have is a memory that remains. So just take a minute to appreciate the crafts you got when it's here. I'm not trying to speak and be morbid or anything. It's real talk. I'm past the mic to you, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys, we talked off the show here, but if you guys ever get a chance to go to Nashville, and I was actually, having said what you said, being appreciative that I was able to make that trip with my mom and dad. So my mom and dad, my dad's like 70, my mom was 66, and we actually were able to make that trip to Nashville. We had a blast. We were there from Sunday to Wednesday. Flew out Sunday, came back Wednesday, which was just good amount of time. And I was just saying to Sean earlier, they were, we kind of had an early night, and I was not mad at that at one bit, because I just turned 48 on Sunday. So it's like 10:30, 11. I was like, I think we need to head back. I said, that's fine with me. Let's go.
Yep. Getting a little late here.
Yeah, I did not argue with them one bit. There was none of this, hey, I'll meet y'all later. I was like, I'm coming with y'all. But yeah, so very, very, very thankful to still have them in my life, and and not to, just kind of piggyback on what Anthony said, that one day I'm gonna look up and they're gonna be gone. So you got to have memories. Do what you can while everybody are still here. That's the name of the game. You're not promised tomorrow, and you never know what's gonna happen. So any day that I wake up and I'm vertical and breathing, I'm all good, man. And
absolutely,
still in my life, all good. But that was a great trip, man. I got not good music, good food. I was with my folks and my cousin. DJ Rock. That was the best part. DJ Rock, Luke Bryan's traveling DJ. He was basically our tour guide. So he knew where he goes there all the time. He told us where to go and that kind of stuff. So it was very cool. Didn't get to see the opera yet. We saw the Rain. I think that's what it's called. The Coliseum before the Opry, but we didn't get to do all that. So anyway, it was great. It was awesome. That was one of the trips I'm going to remember for a long time. But I'll leave it up to you, Mr. Spaulding.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely, yeah. I love that. I'm not gonna call y'all's ages out, we know I'm the youngest, but damn if I have not been dealing with a back issue all day long. I slept wrong, and the whole day my back is just all sorts of funky, and I had to drive most of the day, so it was rough. So yeah, yes, take care of yourself, but also appreciate that. But for me, and mind you, your birthday, we're close to each other in birthday. My birthday is in 10 days, September 26th. So, and I'll be 41, still young, still loving it. But for me, it's no surprise that I love football. I love it. And one of the things that over the years that it's really got to me, I used to want it to be done and talked about a certain way. I used to want it to be this and that and da-da-da-da. Love football however you love it. And I say that to everybody now. And it was taught to me by Kat. Shout out to her, who was, basically said, I don't have to like this thing like you like it. You love it. You dive into it. You want to watch film for hours. Fine. Let me do what I do. And I love that. because at the end of the day, I've always said football is the great equalizer. That's what brings us together. You can have people that are politically so far against it, but when it comes to that Saturday or that Sunday, and you guys are all wearing the same thing, we're all good. We are all good. Now, things might come up here and there. We always know. I mean, we're only human, but just love the game. I am so much in love with this game that I just don't care how you watch it, like it, do it, because I'd rather you be in than not in. And no disrespect to people that don't like this game. Other people, people doing their thing, but I it's like a gift that it's like I love this and I do not want to hold it in. I just want to give it to all of you. That means me being a critique and shit. That means me being this and that. But I love this. I love that. We couldn't. Yeah, I know. But the thing about it is, I love you guys always talk to me about, oh, this group, man. You guys brought us all together, yada yada. I didn't bring you together. The love of football brought you together. That's why we're here. And that I never would have imagined years ago that I would be up till 10:30 Eastern doing a show talking about SEC and all this stuff. But I am so talking to exactly what you were saying, Anthony, just appreciating it and loving it. And so that's where I'm at, man. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. I love football. I love this time of the year.
You gotta find something to love, man. You're lucky to have found it. So that's awesome.
That's awesome though, bro, because for some reason, something about this year, I was really like, is it football season yet? Is it football season? I mean, like a week out, and that week before football season was almost as bad as being 10 years old and it being 3 days before Christmas, and them 3 days felt like months.
Yep, couldn't sleep.
And so, and the crazy part about it is, we've been waiting on it so long, talking about how much we can't wait for it. And guess what? It's week 4.
Right.
Yep.
Already in there.
And this year's almost over.
We are almost 33% of the way through the regular college football season.
That's the thing that gets it, because it really is so quick. It really goes by so quickly. So when you're in it, like you said, it's 4 weeks in, but you guys know personally, and I don't have to give all my stuff. You know what I was going through. And so you know how I do. I talk football every week of the off season and the season, but I didn't do anything until week 1. And for me, that was serious, but it's so, I just feel so at home. I really do. So thank you for letting me come on here and rap with y'all and talk football, because this is my happy place.
Yeah, man, 100%. We appreciate you being on here. We appreciate you being on here. And those of you that are still sticking with us, we appreciate you. I don't know if you noticed.
Keep it on the road.
I don't know if you noticed, but
Jesus, take the wheel.
Keep it on the road. But, sorry.
I think you got two. I think you got 2 of the 3 most talkative people in the entire family of podcasts on this show tonight. Me and that guy right there. The other one, you might not know his real name, but we call him Google. So and
he's a Google gangster.
Yeah, and the fourth one is a very slender version of Randy the Macho Man Savage, also a Canadian. But we appreciate y'all for being here with us today. This evening, we're gonna let you go so you can enjoy the 4th quarter of the game. We do appreciate y'all, all of you, for tuning in.
Wait, are y'all still winning? Do you want to jinx it?
Somebody I think the Eagles just not scored. He's down.
15-10. The Eagles are down on the 5-yard line right now. According to what it says on Google.
On the 1-yard line.
Like I said, defeat for the jaws.
Let's end it quick while they're winning.
Yeah, I know, right? So let's go ahead and get off while we're still in a good mood. On behalf of myself, Mr. Sean Spencer, and my partner in crime, Collin P. from the DMV, I am Mr. Fingaz, live from the 405. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of This Week in UGA Football. We will see you all next week. And until then, we're going to sign off. I got my Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Tar Heels.
There it is. Hey.